The first three are keys, values, and items, and these are as simple as they sound. They essentially return dynamic views of the keys, values, and items. When we say dynamic, we mean that if anything is changed in the dictionary, that means we show it here. So we go ahead and hit run, and we see the keys, the values, and the items as a pair of tuples here. A little tip for this, if you pass the whole thing into the list function, you can then return that as a list, just like this here. The next method is dictionary.pop. This takes one argument, which is the key, and it'll essentially go ahead and remove this from the dictionary and return it. So we go ahead and hit run. We see it returns the value, and then the key of Sarah has now been removed, leaving only John and Alex. Along the similar lines of dictionary.pop is pop item, and this will remove the most recently added item. So in this case, it was Sarah. It returns this as a tuple of these two items. So we go ahead and hit run. We see the dictionary only now has John and Alex, and Sarah has now been returned here to this variable. We can use dictionary.clear to kick out all of the items of the dictionary, leaving it blank. So we go ahead and hit run. We see that we now have a blank dictionary. This is the same as you would see for the list.clear method as well. Up next we have .copy, and what this will do, this will return a shallow copy of a dictionary. So in this case here, I've printed off the original names, ages, and our copy. So you see how they both look the same here. However, say if I then come along and then do names, ages, let's add A with a value of 100. We hit run again. We see this now only happens to our first dictionary, names, ages. So this is showing that the copies dictionary is completely unrelated. It simply takes the original elements, but we don't take anything after that here. So this is a great way if you want a copy of a dictionary and you want to be completely independent, we can use dictionary.copy. This next one's pretty cool, is the dictionary.fromKeys method. This will take some iterable, in this case I've passed in a list of foods, and what it will do, it will turn these into dictionary keys, and they will all have the value of 0. If you leave this blank, it's set to none. So if I go ahead and print off items dictionary, so let's run this here, hit run, we see that we have cheese, ham, tomato, and these all have a value of 0. If I go ahead and omit the 0, hit run, that value is now set to none here. So basically it's a simple way to create a dictionary given some iterable, like a list, a string, or a tuple. Now this next one's really cool. It's a very safe way to retrieve data from a dictionary, and this is the .get method. It can take one or two arguments and basically give it a key. And what it will try and do, it will say, go and see if this key exists. If it does, go ahead and bring back the value. If it doesn't, return none. So in this case, it'll return none. Or if you give it a second argument, it'll return this instead. So let's step through and see what happens. So in this case, we said .get John, so John exists, yeah, therefore we retrieve a 30, that's fine. We then do .get but pass in James, which does not exist, but we didn't pass in a second argument, therefore we get none. And in this third example, we ask for the key of James again, however we pass in a second argument, so this is returned to us instead. And sticking with that theme of safety, we have the set default method, and what this does, this will add a key value pair to the dictionary, but only if that key does not already exist. So in this first example, we have Sarah 45. However, this already exists, so therefore nothing happens. In the second example, we do Sue 45. This does not exist in the dictionary, therefore we add it. So we hit run. We see that Sarah, nothing happens to that at all because it already exists, so this has no effect. The second one here, so Sue 45, we can see that's now been added here at the end. And that's because the key of Sue did not already exist in a dictionary. So this is a safe way to add stuff into a dictionary without the chance of overwriting anything that already may exist. And then we have our final method today, and this is a fairly new one. It's update. This is an in-place operation. So what I've got here is a dictionary containing two entries. So I've got Mike and Alex as the keys. And what I'm doing, I'm passing this as the arguments to the update method. And what it'll do, it'll basically say, go to this dictionary and update it with this data here. So I've got a brand new key of Mike and 60. It'll add this, and with this one here, this Alex 22, it'll basically go to this entry and update it with this value. So we go ahead and hit run. We see that Mike 60 has been added. and this Alex22, we see that change here. So we're basically updating the dictionary by adding some new stuff and modifying some of our existing keys and values.